Hello everybody, welcome to another episode of Virtual Tween Baking. I am Abby and I am here to bake along this recipe for this month, which is s'mores cups. And it's got all the good classic stuff that you would get in, campfire s'mores. So we are going to be making a graham cracker crust. We're going to be drizzling some chocolate. We're going to be toasting some marshmallows. And in the end, we will be left with some freshly baked s'mores cups. Just to get started, I want to just go through really quick what you guys will have in your kits this month. It's pretty easy, really pretty standard s'mores ingredients with a couple little extra things thrown in. So first we're going to need, of course, graham crackers. You should have about 7 graham crackers in your kit. We're going to need 1/4 cup of powdered sugar. That's going in the crust also. And we are going to need 6 tablespoons of butter, which I have measured out for each of you guys. So your little chunk of butter in there is exactly what you need, 6 tablespoons. That will also be part of our graham cracker crust. We are going to use some chocolate chips. And the same as in past recipes, this will be divided up into 2 different parts. Some of these will be going into our s'mores cups, and some of this we're going to put aside for our chocolate drizzle on top. And you cannot make s'mores cups without marshmallows, so I got, for this month, these really cool square marshmallows that I found. So we're going to be cutting these in half, and that'll give a little, extra fun appearance to this with the interesting shapes marshmallows. And finally, we have a little bit of vegetable shortening here, which we're going to mix with some of the chocolate to do our chocolate drizzle. What else is included in your kits? So if you have at home one of these cupcake pans with 12 cupcake holes in it, you can absolutely use this. This recipe is going to make 12 s'mores cups. However, if you do not have one of these at home, I have included in your kits these little cupcake tins that have 6, so you can kind of bake it in 2 batches if you need to. Either way, everybody's getting one of these, but if you want to, do everything in 1 batch and you have one of these at home, absolutely use this. This is what I'm going to be using today, the one with 12 little spaces for cupcakes or muffins or s'mores cups. But, just in case somebody didn't have one that wants to do this recipe, you can totally do it in 2 batches also, so that is there for you if you need it. We are going to also be using a piping bag to make a really pretty chocolate drizzle on top of this, so everybody's got their own piping bag. You're going to need a large plastic bag, which I will include in your kits, and this is going to be to smash up our graham crackers to make our crust, and I think that's pretty much it. Oh, also cupcake liners, which we're going to be making our little s'mores cups in, so you should have 12 of these in your kit. Because like I said, this recipe makes 12, so those will be included for you also. So I think what I'm going to do is get this recipe started. I will meet you guys at step 1, which is preheat the oven. So I'll do that and then I'll meet you guys at step 2. All right, you guys, so my oven is preheating to 350 degrees, so we can check off step 1. And step 2, we are going to finely crush the graham crackers into crumbs. And to do this, you're going to need a special tool, a rolling pin. If you don't have a rolling pin, you can also use anything else that's kind of heavy, even like a can. You can use, if you have like a meat tenderizer, you can kind of just smash the graham crackers in this bag. So I'll show you what we're going to do. We've got this large bag here. We're going to take our graham crackers out. And it's okay if any of them are broken, because guess what? They're going to be smashed into a million tiny pieces. So we're going to kind of lay them out here, seal up the bag so we don't get any crumbs that fly out. And actually, if you can, try to make sure as much of the air is out of that this big bag as possible. All right, we're going to seal it up, and then we are going to take our rolling pin or whatever tool we are using, and we're just going to smash it right up. You can also do this step in a food processor if you'd rather, but this is always more fun to just kind of smash it up. And you want like a really nice fine kind of almost like powdery graham cracker crumb, mixture here. All right, I am pretty happy with this. This is my bag of crumbs here. You guys can see that. Beautiful graham cracker crumbs. This is like one of the easiest, but also one of the tastiest crusts you can make on any sort of like pastry or pie or anything like that. And it's as easy as just smashing these up. So to get these to kind of like the glue that's gonna hold these together is going to be our melted butter. So we are going to now move on to step 3, which is in a microwave safe bowl. What we will have you melt 6 tablespoons of butter. So when I come back, I will have melted butter and we will go on to the next step. All right, you guys, I have melted my butter in the microwave. Here is a little peek of what that looks like. And be very careful because your bowl is probably very hot, so just be mindful of that when you're doing the next steps. So we've got our melted butter, and now we are going to move on to step number 4, which is combine graham cracker crumbs, powdered sugar, and melted butter in a small bowl. So this is the bowl I'm going to be using. Again, it's warm, so we're just going to be careful. I'm going to take my graham cracker crumbs, dump those right in. I'm going to take my 1/4 a cup of powdered sugar and dump that right in. All right, and I'm going to take a spatula and I am just going to combine all of these ingredients evenly, and it's gonna start to form kind of like something that looks kind of like wet sand, and it's gonna smell really good. Graham cracker crust is one of my favorite smelling I guess baking items that I've made. Yum. All right, so you can see it is forming kind of like this wet sand looking mixture here. And that's kind of what we're looking for. And this is what we're going to kind of pack down into our little cupcake liners to form our bottom little crust cups for our s'mores cups. So this is good, as long as you see that there's not any big chunks of graham cracker or big clumps of like powdered sugar. If you can see everything is pretty equally mixed and distributed in here, then you're good to go. We can actually put this aside and move on to our next step. All right, guys, moving on to step number 5, we are going to line our cupcake pan with 12 liners. And remember, those are those little golden pretty cups I have included for you. And we're going to divide our graham cracker crust mixture from our bowl here that we just combined. We're going to divide that evenly into each of our cups, and then we're going to, and my oven is preheated, which is good news. We're going to divide our graham cracker crust into our 12 cups evenly, and then we're going to push each one down so it forms that kind of packed bottom layer, okay? So all I'm going to do here is put my cupcake liners in. I really like these foil liners. They don't like absorb grease as much as just like straight up paper liners. So they always look a lot more clean and finished and not as like, you know, greasy and spotty when you're done, because, you know, sometimes we like a nice presentation with what we make. All right, so now I'm going to take my crust mixture that I just combined with the butter and the powdered sugar, and I am going to just try to distribute it as equally as I can between these 12 cups. And if you need to kind of like take a little bit out of one and put it in another one, you can totally do that. It doesn't have to be perfect the first time you put it in each one. So I'm gonna kind of just take little spoonfuls here and put a little bit in each cup, and then again, if I need to add more to one, or if one has too much, that's totally fine. We can adjust it as we go. But right now I'm just doing kind of a spoonful in each cup. All right, so one spoonful seemed to be pretty close to make all of these pretty even, I'm just kind of going back. I've got like a little bit more of my mixture in here. So just, we don't want to waste any of it. So if you see any cups that look like a little bit low on with the graham cracker crust mixture, just add a little bit more until you use up all of your mixture and everything looks pretty equal and even. Okay. All right, I'm going to now put this bowl aside and I'm gonna show you guys a little trick to pushing down each one of these little crusts. All right, so still on step number 5, we have added all of the crust mixture equally to each of these little cups. And now we wanna press the crumbs down to form shallow little crust cups, okay? So a little trick to do this is to take a small measuring cup. The one I'm using is 1/4 a cup. Make sure it's clean, make sure the whole thing's clean, including the bottom, because what I'm gonna have you do is actually pretty firmly press down on top of your little graham cracker crust in your cup, and that's a really good way to kind of pack down the mixture there, right? So I'll do one closer to the camera here. You can see here's our little cup filled with this loose crust mixture. I'm going to take my clean measuring cup and just firmly press it down, and it's gonna form kind of this like more even packed down crust down there. And if you need to use your clean hands to kind of make it a little bit more of a divot in there so it's more of a cup shape, you absolutely can do that. So that's what I'm doing, kind of pressing down to make sure the edges on here are a little bit higher than the middle. We do want kind of a cup shape if we can get it. But what's really important is you want to make sure that these are kind of as packed as possible. That way when they bake and they cool, they won't fall apart and crumble as easily. So again, we've got that butter that's kind of the glue that's gonna hold them together, and then that powdered sugar we added also will help bind them. But we really just want to form a nice packed cup shape, and you can totally use your fingers for each one of these if you want to, but I find using a measuring cup does kind of help speed the process along. So that's what I'm going to be doing. So I will do all 12 of these, and then from there we actually pop them in the oven from 4 to 5 minutes and bake it all on its own before we add any marshmallows or chocolate to it, okay? So I am going to continue packing these, and I will show you what they look like when I'm all done. All right, all my little crusts are packed in here. You can see some of them, like the edges are a little bit higher so that cup shape is formed. Everything is evenly packed in here, evenly distributed. And now the next step, we're just going to pop this in the oven for 4 to 5 minutes until we see the edges become slightly golden brown. So you are going to have to open it periodically and just peek at it quickly and look for any browning there. So I'm going to start my timer for 4 minutes, and then I'll peek at it and go from there and see if it needs any additional time. So next time you see these, they should be a little bit golden brown and baked, and your kitchen's going to smell amazing. So I just pulled my little crusts out of the oven. If you guys look closely, you can see a little bit of golden brownage kind of around the edges there. So mine went for a total of about 6 minutes. That was my oven. So again, just keep an eye on yours, but this is kind of what you're looking for. A light golden brown. Everything looks pretty even and pretty good. We're gonna move on to the next step. We are going to cut some marshmallows. So I've laid out my 6 marshmallows here, and these are really cool looking square marshmallows. So what I'm going to do to cut these up, we've got 6, we need 12, one for each of our little s'mores cups, is I'm just going to cut them diagonally like this. And then I'm left with 2 triangles. So we're gonna do that to each one carefully. And they're gonna kind of melt anyway, so don't worry if your edges aren't like perfectly straight or whatever. Nobody will notice, I promise. It's gonna get kind of gooey and melty, and really it's more about the taste of s'mores. All right, so easy enough. Those are my, oops, it got stuck on my finger. Those are our 12 little triangles there. All right, and now what we're going to do is fill up each of our little s'mores cups with some chocolate that we're gonna divide out, and then we're gonna put our marshmallows back on top, and then we're gonna rebake it. So I'm gonna show you how to do the next step, which is measuring and adding the chocolate chips into each cup. All right, you guys, so we have our s'mores cup crusts ready to go. Marshmallows are cut and put aside. Now we are going to add a little scoop of chocolate chips into each one of these little cups. So to do that, this step requires, what did I say here? I believe it was, yep, 1/2 cup of chocolate chips. So in here is 3/4 of a cup, so this is 1/2 cup plus an extra 1/4 cup for a later step. So what you are gonna wanna do is measure out 1/2 cup of chocolate chips. And make sure you save some for that little chocolate drizzle we're gonna do, okay? So here's my 1/2 cup of chocolate chips. Here are my s'mores cups, and now I'm just gonna use my fingers for this part, but again, I just kinda wanna evenly divide these chocolate chips so there's a little sprinkle in each one. Oops. And if you need to take some out of one and move it to another one, you totally can. I'm kind of just eyeballing it, not measuring out any specific amount of chocolate chips per cup, just eyeballing it the best I can. And these are still warm, so definitely be careful. So I'm going back now, going to any that I can see I can add a little bit more. All right, a little bit more, that one can use a little sprinkle. All right, pretty good. And again, nothing has to be too super duper exact with this recipe. If one has a little bit more chocolate chips than the other, it's totally okay. Give the one without chocolate chips to your little sister. And no, I'm just kidding. All right, so here's what we're looking for. Whoops. There we go. Chocolate chips in each one pretty evenly, right? So far, so good. So now we're actually going to grab our cut marshmallows that we have prepared, and we are going to set them in each little cup. I'm actually going to put mine, I read online you want to put the cut side down. I could see how this would work well with like a normal shaped marshmallow. Because ours are a little different, I'm still gonna try to do it cut side down so it looks like this. I'm curious to see how these are going to bake. I think it actually is going to be really pretty. So we're going to add our little cut marshmallows cut side down on top of each of these little cups, and we'll see how golden brown these get and gooey. So the next step is going to be, we're gonna put these back in the oven for 2 to 4 minutes until our marshmallows are slightly softened. Then at that point, with a grown-up's help, I want you to, if you wanna do the next step where it gets a little bit more golden brown on top, you can actually use the broiler setting on your oven. And again, do this part with a grown-up because marshmallows are made of sugar, as is the rest of this recipe, so it can burn really quickly, but you really want to keep an eye on it as you have the broiler on, and that will cause a little bit more caramelization on top. It'll give it an extra blast of heat to make that kind of golden brown classic marshmallow look. So again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bake these for 2 to 4 minutes till they soften up a little bit. I'm going to give it a little bit of a broil for 1 to 2 minutes while watching it very closely, checking on it constantly. And then I'm going to pull them out and we will let them cool a little bit, and then we'll do our chocolate drizzle. I'm so excited. So next time I see you guys, I'll hopefully have some nice golden brown marshmallow topped s'mores cups to show you. Look what I made. So here are my s'mores cups. I ended up baking the marshmallows at 350 for about 4 or 5 minutes even, and then I broiled it for about 2 to 3 minutes. I kept my eye on it. I probably could have even gone a little bit longer on some of these with the broil, but I didn't want to push my luck and have, them burn or anything, so I got a little bit of that caramelization, brownage on the top, and I am quite pleased with that. So now what I'm going to do is let these cool on this cooling rack for about 15 minutes, and we are going to make a chocolate drizzle in the meantime, all right? I'll meet you at the chocolate drizzle station. All right, it's chocolate drizzle time. Hope you guys got your piping bags ready. But first, before we fill our piping bags, we are going to have to make a nice, shiny, glossy, melted chocolate. So remember that fourth a cup of chocolate chips that you kept aside? We're gonna put those in a little bowl like so, and we are going to take our 1 teaspoon of vegetable shortening that I have provided, and you're just gonna plop that right in there. If you want to press some of the chocolate chips around it, and I mean, you don't have to mix this too well because when we microwave it, it's gonna all melt together. The shortening is just kind of it's basically like a fat that's going to make this a nice glossy, smooth mixture. And I don't know, I use this stuff all the time for like dipping strawberries. It's like a really nice dipping chocolate because at room temperature, the chocolate and the shortening want to harden up again. So it's a nice dipping chocolate, but it's also great for like a drizzle, this kind of thing that we're about to do. So I've added my shortening into my chocolate chips. I'm going to microwave this for 30 seconds, give it a stir. If it looks like if there's still whole chocolate chips in there that need to melt, microwave it another 30 seconds, give it a stir. It usually doesn't take more than like a minute or a minute and a half to really melt this down and get it really smooth. So I'll let you know what mine takes, but I'm gonna go do that. So microwave 30 seconds, stir it, microwave 30 seconds, stir it until it's really smooth, no clumps in there. Okay, check it out. I have my drippy, drizzly chocolate drizzle ready here that we're going to add to our piping bag. And really for mine, I guess this is a smaller amount of chocolate shortening mixture than I usually do. So really mine took me 30 seconds, I stirred it, and then I did 15 more seconds and stirred it some more, and by that time it was totally smooth. So I'll make sure I update that in the recipe. You really probably don't need to go a full 1 minute, or definitely not a minute and a half with this, at least not with my microwave, but basically just microwave a little bit, stir it a little bit, as much as you need to with your microwave and your conditions at your house, okay? But in the end, we're looking for no clumps, a nice, slick, glossy chocolate drizzle like this. So now we just need to put this in our piping bags and snip off the tip of it and give each one a really beautiful drizzle, which will give it a nice finished look. If you have never used a piping bag before, I put some tips in the recipe for you. So what you can do, an easy way to fill it, is to take a taller drinking glass, take your piping bag, take the edges, you can open it up a little bit, you can stick your hand right in there, take the edges, and you want to actually stick this in your bag and take the edges and fold it over the side of the cup. And you can see that's like, there's some of the bag is kind of holding the space, or filling that space. You can kind of push it, and then what you have is this piping bag hanging, it's almost like inside out, but then we can just dump our chocolate right into there and it'll easily fill up this bag, really no mess. So let's go ahead and do that, and a spatula or a spoon will work really well for making sure we get all of our chocolate mixture right into this bag. Scraping it. And your chocolate mixture is probably very warm, so when we are going to be handling our bag, definitely be careful. If it's too hot, give it a minute or two to cool down a little bit. We are in no rush. All right, that's pretty much all my chocolate. I'm going to put my spatula and my bowl aside. And now what we're going to do is pull these sides back up. There's our chocolate in our bag. We're done with that cup. We want to just get out any air bubbles from our bag. So kind of give it a little shake, pinch it with your fingers right here. See if there's any like real air pockets in there you can feel. Just kind of make sure there's no big bubbles. Squeeze out any air you can feel in there from the top. And then like right above where the bulk of the chocolate is, give this a couple little twists like that. And we are left with this piping bag. Most of our chocolate is right down here. And then it's as simple as cutting off just a tiny little piece from the tip right there. You don't need to cut off like, you know, an inch or anything like that. Really, like I like a really fine, pretty, like a very thin drizzle. So I usually cut off just a tiny little bit from the tip there, and then you kind of have to act quickly because you don't want your chocolate to get too cool that it re-solidifies and hardens. And you'll get a much cleaner look if you do the drizzling in a nice, swift, confident motion. But again, we're just having fun, so it's really not too much pressure. I know a lot of you probably have never used a piping bag before, and it's really fun to learn how to do this. So, I mean, just have fun with it and make your drizzle the best you can. It's gonna taste great either way. So, what I'm gonna do is snip off the little tip here, and the chocolate might want to start to come right out, so if I need to, I can put it upside down so the chocolate's not gonna start squirting out. But I'm just gonna show you guys how I drizzle on each one, trying to make the chocolate kind of evenly distributed to each s'mores cup, okay? And, all right, here we go. Gonna snip a little bit, and actually if you do have maybe that bowl the chocolate was in, if you want to put that under your bag just for when you snip it, if it does squeeze out a little bit, I'll just use this cup that I was using to fill the piping bag. I'm gonna snip off a little bit from the tip, and you can see it's drizzling out pretty evenly. That's why we didn't want any big, chocolate chip chunks left in there. We need it really smooth. And now I am just going to drizzle on top of each of mine. You can see I'm kind of holding it at this angle right now so it's not pouring out like if I were to do that. But now I'm going to drizzle on each of my s'mores cups. I'll put that aside for 1 second and just show you guys what I did. Those are the 3 on the left there that I did so far. I'm gonna do the rest of them, but you can see I'm just gently squeezing with my hand. It's not like a huge grippy like strong motion. You're just gently squeezing so the chocolate enough so the chocolate comes out, and just evenly and kind of quickly making those drizzles. There you go. So that's what mine look like. I'm gonna finish off the rest of these. Three more. And I might have had a little piece of chocolate that wasn't fully melted in there, so that it will clog the tip at there. And if you have a little bit extra like I do, you can go back and drizzle more, or if you don't want it, too much of a drizzle, you want to keep it a little bit less, a little bit cleaner, you can just be done. So I'm going to be done with my drizzle, and this is the finished product. Look at the beautiful s'mores cups, you guys. The toasted marshmallows, the graham cracker crust, the chocolate in the middle, and the beautiful chocolate drizzle. I cannot wait to try one of these. If you want, when you serve these, you can keep them in the cups, or if you let them cool absolutely completely, you can take them out of their little liners and put them, on a little tray or something, or you can keep them in their cups for, people to easily grab them, whatever you prefer. I hope you guys enjoyed this tween baking video, and I hope you get a nice taste of summer with these s'mores cups. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much for taking part in this program. I will see you guys next month with a new recipe. We'll get into some fall baking, the best time of year. But meanwhile, enjoy your s'mores cups and have a great day. Bye.